The 2025 draft is in the books, and is it me or does this one feel different? I think it could honestly be one of the best drafts of the decade. So let's go through every pick and see if you agree. And I'm breaking down all 59 picks, who they are, what they bring, and what their future might look like in the league, starting off with someone we all should already know.
With the first pick in the 2025 NBA draft, the Dallas Mavericks select Cooper Flagg from Duke University.
And starting out, we have the number 1 pick from Duke himself. 18, power forward, about 6'9". He's among the most well-rounded prospects in recent years. He's exceptional on defense and has advanced basketball IQ, and he's still very young with plenty of room to grow. For player comps, I see Andre Kirilenko in his game and a little bit of Scottie Pippen. Alright, depending on who you ask, Cooper Flagg may be the best American prospect since Zion or Anthony Davis. Whether or not he'll live up to those comparisons, we'll see, but one thing is for sure. He was just as hyped. We've all seen how many teams tried tanking this year just to get a chance to draft Cooper, aka capture the flag. But let's go back to the beginning of the story. His basketball roots run deep. Both parents played in college, and his mom, Kelly, captained at the University of Maine. Flagg made an early impact at Nokomis Regional High in Maine, and leading the team to a state title as a freshman, while becoming the first freshman ever in Maine to win Gatorade Player of the Year in the state. At 15, he was a surprise selection for the USA U17 World Cup team. In 7 games, he averaged 9.3 points, 10 rebounds, 2.9 blocks, and 2.4 steals. And in the gold medal game against Spain, he got 10 points, 17 rebounds, 8 steals, and 4 blocks, shutting down future draft prospects like Hugo Gonzalez, Adaimara, and Izan Almanza. He was named USA Basketball's Male Athlete of the Year for 2022. He'd ended up going to Montverde Academy for his sophomore season and became a key player on one of the most loaded rosters in the country. At the 2023 Hoop Hall Classic, he earned MVP honors as a 16-year-old. In the summer, he played with Maine United in the Nike EYBL Under-16 circuit. Flagg averaged 25.4 points, 13 rebounds, 5.7 assists, and 6.9 blocks per game at the Peach Jam. Seeing that he felt like he was ready for better competition, he reclassified up into the 2024 class for his final high school season, so he would only end up playing 3 years of high school basketball. Montverde in his last year went 34-0, winning the national title. Flagg swept the major individual awards: Gatorade National Player of the Year, Naismith Prep Player of the Year, and Mr. Basketball USA, finishing as the number 1 overall recruit in the 2024 class and a unanimous 5-star prospect. Out of the unlimited offers he had, he narrowed his college choices to 2 programs, Duke and UConn. And as we know, he committed to Duke in the fall of his senior year. Before playing a college game, he was selected for the USA Select Team in 2024, scrimmaging against the Olympic squad and reportedly standing out even among NBA veterans. He also signed a shoe deal with New Balance ahead of his freshman season. Now, his start at Duke wasn't all that flawless. Early on, there were a few late game mistakes, stretches where he looked hesitant, but the adjustment didn't take long. Over his final 25 games, he averaged 20.5 points, 7 rebounds, 4.6 assists, 1.4 steals, and 1.4 blocks. He also had ridiculous shooting splits during that stretch: 51.1% from the field and 45.1% from 3, and 88% at the free throw line. Overall, he nearly had a 50-40-90 season as a freshman. He became the first player since Zion to consistently dominate college basketball on both ends at that level. Similar to in high school, Flagg was nominated for all the awards: National Player of the Year, ACC Player of the Year, ACC Freshman of the Year, and made the ACC All-Defensive Team. He was also a finalist for the National Defensive Player of the Year. Wow. Flagg led Duke to the ACC title and a Final Four appearance before their season ended in a late game collapse against the Houston Cougars. Scouts and executives praised his work ethic, maturity, and leadership throughout the season. And according to Duke's coaching staff, Flagg set the tone in practice from day one. Everything about his profile, on court and off, suggests he's prepared to handle the pressure of being a franchise centerpiece from the moment he enters the league. The 2 biggest questions around Cooper are, what's his realistic ceiling, and how is he going to fit on the Mavs as a rookie? Let's start with the ceiling, because that part's a little bit easier to talk about. If he stays healthy and develops on track, Flagg has the tools to be a top 5 player in the league at some point. Not just an all-star, not just a guy who makes all defensive teams. We're talking full-blown all-NBA first team, maybe franchise-altering, and top 5 in the world type of potential. As for the fit, it works great on paper, and I have a feeling nothing will change when the season starts. The Mavs are being floated as a top team in the West after adding Anthony Davis and Clay. Now, do I believe that? I don't know, because I'm still hating on them for the Luka trade. But with Kyrie out until at least January, they're not contenders right now. What they do have, and I can say this still being a hater, is that they have one of the best defensive front courts in the league. That Cooper and AD duo, they can wreak havoc. They're versatile, switchable, and have elite help side instincts. Offensively, Flagg can play off ball, connect actions, and slowly grow into more creation. You won't need to force it early. All in all, yeah, this is a great fit for Cooper. The NBA is scripted, and Nico sold the Luka for the rights to Cooper Flagg, and whatever. Yes, I'm still pissed about the trade. Guys, even with the team, making these videos is a full-time grind. I'm in every part of it. Writing, recording, editing, not liking it, re-editing it. Minutes turn to hours, and hours turn to days. When that happens, outside of prepping a bunch of chicken and rice I made earlier that week, and hopefully it's still good, I'm not cooking. I'm barely even making a sandwich. And as I'm getting older, it's only gonna be more difficult to find time to make food before it gets easier. And that's where CookUnity comes in, the sponsor of today's video. CookUnity is a chef-powered marketplace that delivers fresh meals to your door. Never frozen, always fresh. They come in clean, sustainable packaging that you just pull out of the fridge, heat up, and you're eating in minutes. For me, it's simple. I heat one up, I eat it, and I get back to work. My favorite right now out of all the options I've tried is the grilled flank steak grain bowl from Chef Chris Rattel, who has worked in some of the most prestigious New York restaurants. The steak is amazing, the grains are fire, and to be honest, I was not expecting it to be this good. It feels illegal for food to be this good and to be ready in literal minutes. But if you're not boring like me, they've got hundreds of options across different chefs, cuisines, and diets. And the price? Well, it actually lines up with what I'd spend on fast food. The difference is I'm eating better, hitting my calories, and saving a lot of time. If you're curious to see how good this food really is, go to the link in my description, use the code LOCKDOWNK at checkout, and you'll get 50% off your first order. Yeah, you heard it right. Thank you CookUnity for sponsoring this video, and I hope you guys liked it just as much as I did.
With the second pick in the 2025 NBA Draft, the San Antonio Spurs select Dylan Harper from Rutgers University.
All right, moving on to San Antonio, the number 2 pick, Dylan Harper. About 18 or 19 years old, point guard, about 6'5", and is a pro-ready combo guard with advanced scoring and body control. He's also a very efficient playmaker who thrives in the half court off the catch. And in Spurs nature, he's a great on-ball defender with quick feet and sharp instincts. Player comps, James Harden comes to mind. Okay, if Flagg has a strong basketball background, then Dylan Harper is pure basketball royalty. Dylan comes from a basketball family with deep roots in the game. His father, as some of us may know, Ron Harper Sr., was the 8th pick in the 1986 draft, playing 15 seasons, and won 5 NBA titles. If you watch The Last Dance, you've seen and heard him a lot. Dylan's mother, Maria, played college basketball at New Orleans and later became a coach, playing a major role in Dylan's development. His older brother, Ron Jr., starred at Rutgers and reached the NBA. Shortly after taking up basketball, Dylan emerged as one of the top players in the class, starring at Don Bosco Prep in New Jersey. As a senior, he averaged 22 points and led the school to a state title and won multiple National Player of the Year honors. Harper committed to Rutgers over Duke, Kansas, and Auburn. He started his freshman season really putting heat to it, dropping 36 and 37 points on Notre Dame and Alabama in an early season showcase in Las Vegas. Through the first 12 games in college, he averaged 23.3 points while shooting 52% from the field, 35% from 3, and 75% from the line. He got a sprained ankle mid-season, followed by a re-aggravation against Michigan State, but still he closed strong, averaging 21 points per game from February onward. He earned 3rd team All-Big Ten and All-Freshman honors before declaring for the 2025 draft. Now, headed to San Antonio, Harper joins a Spurs team that's clearly betting on high IQ guards to pair with Victor Wembanyama long-term.
What's good?
Hey, I play for the Spurs, so my name's Vic.
Yes, sir. I know who you is. My name's Dylan. I just got drafted to the Spurs. I think I'm your teammate now.
At 6'4.5" and a 6'10.5" wingspan on a 200+ pound frame, he's gonna bring positional versatility and a pro-ready body. His pace, the footwork, and the screen manipulation make him one of the most advanced pick and roll creators in his class. He's not a blow-by athlete by any means, and he'll need to keep refining his pull-up game. But he gets to the rim at will and finishes like a big. His at-rim percentages were elite by any standard. And defensively, he's strong and intelligent, though he'll struggle against smaller, quicker guards early on. With Stephon Castle really making a name for himself last year, the Spurs will likely give Harper time to develop into the lead guard. And with Wembanyama commanding attention, Harper should have room to operate. If the shot creation continues to grow, I don't know, man. San Antonio might have landed the engine of their next great offense.
With the 3rd pick in the 2025 NBA Draft, the Philadelphia 76ers select VJ Edgecombe from Bimini, Bahamas and Baylor University.
All right, VJ Edgecombe, the 20-year-old guard going to Philadelphia. He's really a high-motor two-way guard with elite athleticism and defensive instincts. He's a very explosive leaper with real transition burst and vertical pop. He's a developing shot creator with promising catch-and-shoot mechanics. I'm thinking players like Eddie Jones or Victor Oladipo. Many mock drafts had Philly taking Ace Bailey with the 3rd pick. But after all the noise and all the leaks and all the fake-outs, Daryl Morey pulled the trigger on Valdez Edgecombe Jr., or as everyone else calls him now, VJ Edgecombe. He grew up in the Bahamas, raised by his mother Bendra, a former national track star. And this wasn't some Instagram highlight reel upbringing. VJ's family lived without electricity for 7 years, relying on a generator to get by.
Man, them long nights, I'm telling you, I lived off a generator. I ain't had no electricity, I lived off a generator for 7 years. Man, seeing what she had to go through to feed us, man, it's crazy.
He eventually moved to West Palm Beach, Florida before high school, attending Victory International Institute. At that point, he was still mostly known for his raw athleticism and not a top prospect yet. But that changed fast. After transferring to Long Island Lutheran in New York, Edgecombe exploded onto the national scene. He became a dominant scorer on the AAU circuit, then averaged over 15 a game while leading Lutheran to a state title. That year, he was named New York Gatorade Player of the Year and earned a spot in basically every major all-star event. McDonald's All-American, Nike Hoops Summit, Jordan Brand Classic, you name it. He would end up wrapping up high school as a consensus 5-star pick and a top 5 player in the class. His final college decision came down to Baylor, Duke, and Kentucky, and he committed to Baylor. Before even stepping on a college court, VJ got a taste of the big stage, suiting up for the Bohemian national team in Olympic qualifiers, surrounded by NBA vets like DeAndre Ayton, Buddy Hield, and Eric Gordon. And with them, VJ held his own. Some even called him the 3rd best player on the team. Then came Baylor. As a freshman, he averaged 15 points, 5.6 rebounds, 3.2 assists, and 2.1 steals per game, earning Big 12 Freshman of the Year and 2nd team All Big 12 honors. Coaches raved about his maturity and work ethic, saying he led by example despite being the youngest guy in the locker room. There were rough patches, especially early in the season when his jumper wasn't falling. But by January, he found his rhythm and never looked back. By the time Baylor's tournament run ended, Edgecombe was already a lock to go top 5. So what exactly impressed NBA scouts? Well, we can start with the athleticism. Edgecombe has an incredible bounce, great body control, and hang time that makes you double check the replay. He's got to be one of the most explosive players in this class, and that's according to scouts both on tape and in person. His defense also looked pretty advanced for a college player. The ball pressure, the off-ball reads, weak side blocks. He does all of it with more than decent timing. Offensively, he's a knockdown catch-and-shoot guy who started hitting shots off movement late in the year. Many scouts compared him to Dwayne Wade, Jimmy Butler, and Drew Holiday, which is some high praise. I think I really like the take where one of the scouts called VJ Gary Harris with a jetpack. Now, like every other NBA rookie, VJ is far from a perfect basketball player. He's got a slight frame and average size for an NBA 2. His handle's a little loose, especially when pressured, and he sometimes jumps too early on drives, killing his own advantage mid-air. VJ's also not a true shot creator yet. Pull-ups, pick-and-roll reads, timing, all still coming along, but his motor and mindset suggest he'll figure it out. Philly took VJ 3rd overall to round out a young, explosive backcourt alongside Tyrese Maxey, Jared McCain, and Quentin Grimes. Daryl Morey called it one of the best guard groups in the league, and the pace they want to play best suits VJ's skill set perfectly. He won't need to force anything. He defends, cuts, spaces the floor, plays with non-stop energy, and he's a clean fit on both ends. And if you Sixers fans weren't already in, his post-draft speech should definitely seal it.
What kind of athlete the 76ers getting?
They're getting a unique athlete, man. I think I'm the best athlete in the class, if you ask me. I can jump as high as anybody in here, run as fast as anybody in there. I'm gonna play my heart out, man, so yeah.
With the 4th pick in the 2025 NBA Draft, the Charlotte Hornets select Kon Knueppel from Duke University.
Good call, Andrea. Another Dookie.
Kon Knueppel. Really a great athlete for his position. He's an elite shooter with feel and strength and a really smart offensive wing. And at the combine, he actually measured out better than NBA teams were expecting. The player comp I have for him is Corey Kispert, but he really could become better than that. Okay. If you're a Bill Simmons fan, you've probably already been sold on Kon Knueppel after his interview. I know I was. Seriously. after this video, you have to go watch it. It's about 50 minutes, similar to my videos, and yeah, it's mostly basketball nerd talk, but you'll come away understanding exactly why the Hornets fell in love with him. While Kon doesn't come from an NBA family, he might as well have. His dad, Kon Sr., scored over 2,000 points at Wisconsin Lutheran and is in the school's Hall of Fame. His mom, Sherry, is the all-time leading scorer at Wisconsin Green Bay. And his uncle Jeff Norgard also starred at UW Green Bay before getting drafted and playing briefly for the Milwaukee Bucks. Knueppel stayed local for high school, suiting up for Wisconsin Lutheran. As a junior, he averaged 20 points and 10 rebounds, and then exploded the following summer, leading the Nike EYBL in scoring at 22.5 points per game. His senior year, he put up 26 points per game, went undefeated, won a state title, and swept the major state awards, Wisconsin Mr. Basketball and Gatorade Wisconsin Player of the Year. That final run really pushed him from 4-star to 5-star status. Duke, Wisconsin, Virginia, Alabama. He had options, and he chose Duke. On a team that had one of the most hyped up NBA prospects in years, Kon was actually the second best player as a freshman. And when Flagg went down, it was Knueppel who stepped up and won ACC tournament MVP. He averaged 14.4 points, 4 rebounds, and 2.7 assists, while shooting 40.6% from 3, including a ridiculous 43.3% off the catch. His 91.4% free throw clip and 43.2% on mid-range pull-ups were also ridiculous. Somehow he didn't make the first team All-ACC, but if you actually watch this guy from the beginning of his college career, you would know that this guy was a one and done from day one. At the Combine, Knueppel quietly put a lot of concerns to rest. He measured 6'5" barefoot with a 6'6¼ wingspan and a 8'1" standing reach, all while weighing in at 219 pounds. So he's plenty strong to hold up defensively and versatile enough to share the floor with multiple guards. I don't think he'll wow anyone with burst or the vertical leap. He needs 2 feet to get up and doesn't have that first step blow-by gear most wings rely on, but what he does have is touch, footwork, timing, and processing. All elite for his age. Like previously mentioned, he hit 40% from deep, over 91% from the line, and nearly 43% on mid-range pull-ups. And he gets to those shots from real NBA situations. Movements, curls, secondary creation. Knueppel isn't an ordinary shooter or a role filler. He's a high-field, low-maintenance wing who can make plays, knock down shots, and keep the offense flowing without needing the ball in his hands all the time, which is perfect for a team with LaMelo Ball and Brandon Miller on it. Charlotte took Knueppel 4th overall, slotting him next to LaMelo Ball, Brandon Miller, and Miles Bridges, in a suddenly well-balanced young core. Bill Simmons called it a perfect fit. Isaiah Thomas, who trained with him, said he does all the right stuff. He doesn't even need the ball to make an impact. He's not overly flashy or loud like his former Duke teammate. But if you need a wing who spaces the floor, plays smart, and competes, he's your guy. You know, I have to say Charlotte has been horrible in recent years. But if they can keep their core and keep putting winning culture vets around this young core, we could be looking at a fun team in the next few years.
With the 5th pick in the 2025 NBA Draft, the Utah Jazz select Arius Ace Bailey from Rutgers University.
Here we have the 20-year-old forward Ace Bailey. He's really a big wing with explosive athleticism and scoring upside, and as we know, one of the more polarizing prospects in the draft. But even with all the news, some scouts say that he has the highest ceiling for potential. Maybe even a Tracy McGrady or Paul George type of player. Another pick with a basketball background. I'm starting to notice a pattern when it comes to these ultra-talented athletes. But anywho, Ace's mother played at West Virginia in the 2000s. And his aunt, Venus Lacey, won Olympic gold in 1996 before a brief WNBA career. Bailey grew up in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and was early seen as one of the top athletes in his age group. He played his freshman year at Boyd Buchanan before transferring to McEachern High School in Georgia, home to former top prospects like Sharif Cooper and Isaac Okoro. By his junior year, Bailey had blown up nationally, averaging 22 points and 14 rebounds. And as a senior, it got crazier. He put up 32 and 15, leading McEachern to a state title, and he won Gatorade Georgia Player of the Year. He also made, like some of his other top prospects, the McDonald's All-American Game, Nike Hoop Summit, and Jordan Brand Classic. Ranked as a consensus top 5 player, Bailey surprised some by choosing Rutgers, becoming the program's first 5-star recruit in over 15 years. Bailey's lone season at Rutgers was uneven, but still showcased just how high his ceiling might be. He averaged 17.6 points, 7.2 rebounds, and 1.3 blocks across 30 games, while shooting 46% from the field and only 34.6% from 3. On a team with limited spacing and very few creators outside of Dylan Harper, Bailey was forced into tough looks, but still found ways to score at all 3 levels. His shot mechanics are fluid, his release point is high, and he's a confident pull-up shooter, especially from mid-range. Athletically, he's fluid and long, with the tools to finish around the rim in creative ways or elevate over defenders. And defensively, he showed real promise. His lateral mobility, weak side shot blocking, and flashes of off-ball pressure suggest potential to guard across multiple positions. But his handle, decision-making, and off-ball engagement remain question marks. In some games, he looked like the best wing prospect in the country. Others, he disappeared. Ace Bailey might be the biggest swing in the draft. Physically, he checks out every box. 6'7.5", elite wingspan, fluid movement, vertical pop, and a jumper that looks like it's built for the modern game. But on the other side, there's still a lot that needs to come together. He needs to tighten his handle, make quicker reads, add strength, and improve his flexibility to better leverage his athleticism. If those things click, if the coordination catches up with the flashes, there's all-star potential here. I think Ace Bailey could become a true two-way force, a high-volume scorer, and someone who also protects the rim and switches on defense. But if that's going to happen, it's probably going to take some time. He's not a plug-and-play star from day one. He'll need a lot of reps, structure, and patience. The good news is the floor is solid. Bailey will shoot, defend, and finish well enough to stay on an NBA roster for a long time. Whether he becomes the star or a streaky role player, that's what his next few years in Utah are going to determine. From my research, this is the first draft since 1990 with 4 guards in the top 5, and that's if you count Dennis Scott as a 2, which can be a stretch to some people. Historically, this doesn't happen. Bigs and wings usually go early because of size, switchability, and harder to find value. But this year, teams bet on guards. And it's not just because teams value creation, it's because the creators are getting taller. In AAU and high school, every 6'6", 6'8", and even 6'10" kid wants to run point. Trainers are drilling pick and roll reads, pull-up mechanics, and step backs. That's why guys like Ace Bailey, who's 6'9" with a handle, don't look out of place at shooting guard. Guys who would have been forwards 10 years ago are now being trained like guards from day one. Think like Josh Giddey, Anthony Black, Cade Cunningham, Luka, Lonzo. So no, 4 guards in the top 5 isn't a fluke. It's the result of a system built to turn tall wings into primary creators. And this isn't just breaking the mold, it is the mold now. But what do you guys think about the top 5? Let me know in the comments below while we move on to our next pick.
With the 6th pick in the 2025 NBA Draft, the Washington Wizards select Tre Johnson from the University of Texas.
All right, we have Tre Johnson, a tall guard coming out of Texas, who can really put the ball on the floor. He has the tools to become a primary option at the NBA level, and he may be one of the best pure scorers in this draft. I'm thinking like a Chris Middleton or a Rip Hamilton. Okay, just so you know, Tre Johnson's full name is actually Richard Johnson III. So if the question ever pops up on an NBA trivia test, you're welcome. But now, let's figure out who is Tre actually. Well, he's a Dallas kid, and one of the most hyped scorers to come out of Texas in years. As a sophomore at Lake Highlands High, he averaged 24 points per game and started climbing into every national ranking. The next year, he won Texas Mr. Basketball and led Lake Highlands to their first state title in almost 50 years. For his senior season, he transferred to Link Academy in Missouri and kept it rolling with strong play in the NIBC, a run to the national semifinals, and invites to the McDonald's All-American Game, Nike Hoop Summit, and Jordan Brand Classic. He finished his high school career as a top 10 recruit and decided to go with Texas. And he didn't waste any time making his presence felt. As a freshman, he averaged nearly 20 points per game, led the SEC in scoring, and took home both SEC Freshman of the Year and made the All-Freshman team and second team All-SEC honors. The Longhorns overall had a rocky year, but Tre's scoring never really dipped. He hit tough shots, carried the offense for stretches, and looked like the same guy who was dominating high school. And after only 1 year at Texas, he declared for the draft. Tre's appeal is pretty simple. He scores a lot, and in a lot of different ways. He's a 6'6" shooting guard with a 6'10" wingspan. He has a smooth handle and one of the most effective pull-up games in the draft. Whether it's off a screen, in transition, or ISO on the wing, Tre can get to his shot. Through 33 games, he took 95 dribble pull-up twos, 99 dribble threes, and only 80 shots at the rim. Now, that tells the story. He's a perimeter-heavy scorer with elite touch but limited rim pressure for now. Defensively, it's a work in progress. He's long but not disruptive, and he'll need to improve his screen navigation and physicality. Still, scouts love the shooting foundation. With his size and confidence, he's the kind of player who could grow into a primary option or thrive as a high-volume floor spacer in the right system. This whole pick could be said in one sentence. Washington fell to the 6th pick, missed out on Ace Bailey, and still walked away with one of the best scorers in the whole draft. Tre steps into a roster that's raw, unproven, and wide open for someone to just take control. Just look at all the guards they have right now. He may or may not be asked to run the offense, but he will be expected to get buckets. And the spacing he brings should make life a whole lot easier for guys like Alex Sarr, who's gonna need those driving lanes and cleanup chances around the rim. Is Tre a future number one option? Maybe, I don't know. You can't really say those things confidently after playing 1 year in college, unless you're Kyrie Irving. But is Tre ready to play right now? I'd say it looks like it. Even if he never becomes a franchise guy, a combination of shooting, size, and confidence usually keeps you in the league for a long time. But if things break right, he could be the one leading the rebuild in DC.
With the 7th pick in the 2025 NBA Draft, the New Orleans Pelicans select Jeremiah Fears from the University of Oklahoma.
Jeremiah Fears, a twitchy combo guard coming out of Oklahoma with deep range and a confident pull-up game. Gets to the line often and knocks down free throws in an elite clip. And he shows maturity as a second creator with smart decision making. As far as player comps go, I'm thinking someone like Lou Williams, but I'm not too confident for Jeremiah. When looking at these drafts, it's kinda shocking just how young some of these guys are. Take Jeremiah Fears, for example. He's only 18. Well, maybe 19 now. But when you see him play, it's hard to believe he's still a teenager. Jeremiah is a combo guard from Joliet, Illinois. He started his basketball journey at Joliet West before transferring to Compass Prep in Arizona, where the national buzz picked up. By his senior year, he was a consensus top 25 recruit with invites to the McDonald's All-American game, Nike Hoop Summit, and well, again, every other game, tournament, and event that matters. Originally committed to Illinois, Fears made a late switch to Oklahoma and wasted no time making his presence felt. He cracked the starting lineup from day one, held his own in a deep physical Big 12, and averaged around 15 points per game while shooting 38% from deep. While Fears' numbers aren't anything out of this world, what attracted the scouts was the way he scored. Fears hit tough pull-ups, controlled the pace like a vet, and got buckets in tight, late clock situations when nothing else was working. His comfort in the pick and roll and off the dribble threes made him one of the go-to guys for stretches. Now, he's still not a blow-by athlete, and he's not going to overwhelm defenders with strength. However, the handle is tight, the touch is real, and the shot-making package is well ahead of schedule. For New Orleans, this is a clean swing. They need self-creation, they need guard play, and they don't need another ball-dominant player. Fears fits the bill. He can play on or off the ball, doesn't force too much, and gives spacing to guys like Zion and Trey Murphy without stepping on toes. He probably opens his career as a bench scorer, but if the efficiency scales, the Pelicans might have just found a long-term solution in the backcourt.
With the 8th pick in the 2025 NBA Draft, the Brooklyn Nets select Egor Demin from Moscow and Brigham Young University.
Coming out of BYU, we have an even taller point guard in Egor Demin. He's an elite passer at 6'8", he has questionable shooting and limited burst, but he has high upside as a project with real long-term starter potential. Maybe someone like a Boris Diaw or a Kyle Anderson, I don't know. Going into the draft, the Nets needed a playmaker, and they weren't afraid to take a risk. So, with the 8th pick, they reached a bit for Egor Demin, a 6'9" Russian point guard with vision, height, and question marks. Demin's path here wasn't typical. Born and raised in Moscow, he rose through the Trenta Academy before joining Real Madrid's youth system. By 16, he was dominating Spanish junior leagues and earning senior minutes with Real's stacked roster. But instead of riding the bench in Europe, he chose a different route, moving to the US and committing to BYU. The gamble paid off. Well, kinda, sorta. Demin opened the season strong and helped lead BYU to the Sweet 16. He made the Big 12 All-Freshman team and averaged 10.6 points, 3.9 rebounds, and 5.5 assists. But as the year wore on, his flaws became harder to ignore. Turnovers started to pile up. His jumper didn't fall, only 27% from 3. And he struggled against Big 12 ball pressure. So what made Brooklyn pull the trigger? I think it's size and feel for the game mostly. Demin sees the floor like few prospects in the class. He's arguably the best pick and roll passer in the draft with elite anticipation and touch on both skip and pocket passes. General manager Sean Marks pointed to his high IQ, defensive tools, and versatility as key factors. But there's real risk. Demin lacks burst, he's not really explosive, and his shooting remains theoretical. If he doesn't develop a reliable jumper, or at least become stronger finishing at the rim, he may never be more than a novelty-sized backup. But on the other hand, there's still a good few things about Egor. More than a few, actually. He's only 19, he has rare dimensions for a lead guard, and in a Brooklyn system that already leans international, he might get the space and time to develop properly. If it clicks, the Nets might have found their long-term connector piece, and if not, it's a top 10 swing they'll have to live with.
With the 9th pick in the 2025 NBA Draft, the Toronto Raptors select Collin Murray-Boyles from the University of South Carolina.
Collin Murray-Boyles, a power forward coming out of South Carolina with a really high motor and defensive versatility. He's a pretty good finisher at the rim and quick leaping ability, and he's undersized but plays bigger due to strength, timing, and feel of the game. Maybe someone like a Gershon Yabusele or Draymond Green. Well, we can start off with a moment everyone remembers. The Raptors get the 9th pick. Adam Silver reads, Collin Murray-Boyles from the University of South Carolina. The camera cuts to Collin and his girlfriend, and before it can cut away, you can hear it.
With the 9th pick in the 2025 NBA Draft, the Toronto Raptors select Collin Murray-Boyles from the University of South Carolina.
Now, was it anger, regret, cold-blooded hatred of Canada? Probably not. Well, at least Murray-Boyles says so himself. He said Toronto never actually told him that they would pick him, so he was just kind of shocked. Is this really the case, or is this just a PR cleanup? Either way, doesn't really matter. He made it to the NBA. Collin Murray-Boyles isn't the loudest name in this draft class, but he's been on NBA radars for a while now. Undersized for a big man at 6'7", but if you watch him play, he plays way bigger than that. Strong, physical, quick twitch defender with freakishly fast hands and elite anticipation. At South Carolina, he was the only bright spot on a broken team. Still made second team All-SEC, still played hard every night, and still stayed positive even when the season turned ugly. Oh, and once he cracked the starting lineup as a freshman, he was averaging 15 points, 7 boards, all while shooting 65% from the field. Not bad for a guy who had mono and dropped 10 pounds before his first game. He returned as a sophomore, got better, and kept doing the little stuff. Short roll passing, paint defense, and second chance buckets. His feel for the game, way above average. And that's why scouts kept comparing him to guys like Draymond. But there's a reason he dropped to 9, and we'll get to that next. So what's the catch? It's pretty simple. It's his jumper, or I should say a lack of one. Murray-Boyles shot just 9 for 34 from deep last season. That's 26% on low volume. His form isn't broken, but it's clunky. Like no rhythm, no real lift. And for a guy who's not an elite athlete or vertical threat, spacing becomes a real issue fast. That's where the Raptors come in, because they're betting on everything else. The defense, the passing, the processing speed, and hoping the shot comes later. Because if it does, you have a versatile 4 who can switch onto wings, anchor a second unit, and maybe even log minutes as a small ball 5. But if it doesn't work, you're probably stuck with a tweener who can't really score outside the paint. The good news, he's got the motor, the hands, and the mindset to carve out a role either way. My question is whether that role ends up being a starter or a specialist.
With the 10th pick in the 2025 NBA Draft, the Houston Rockets select Khaman Maluach from Rumbek, South Sudan, the NBA Academy Africa in Senegal, and Duke University.
Khaman Maluach, a 7-foot center coming out of Duke. He's an elite rim protector. Offensively, he's kind of raw but efficient around the rim, and he may need a little bit more strength development and a shooting range. But he already comps as someone like Nick Claxton or Mitchell Robinson. Back in 2023, the Suns basically traded their future for Kevin Durant. At that point, a lot of people thought they would be championship contenders just based off the talent. So the move made some sense, though we all knew it could easily backfire. And here we are, just 2 years later. The Suns didn't get past the second round. KD's been traded, and the team is no longer a contender in the stacked West. Well, there is some silver lining. They landed some young talent in Jalen Green and a role player in Dillon Brooks, and a center they've been eyeing for some time. Make no mistake, the Suns really wanted to draft Maluach. Rich Paul reportedly stepped in to keep Brooklyn from taking him.
If you guys keep 10, I'm gonna mention the name and you tell me how much you like him. Khaman Maluach, if I can get him there.
A lot. That'd be my first choice.
Okay, done deal. That's all I need to
If you
hear.
can get there?
I'm gonna try my best because you're our first choice. If he gets past Brooklyn, then yeah. But let me make those calls so I can let you do what you need to do.
All right, yeah, call me back when you hear.
I will. Okay.
Houston made the pick at 10, but it was Phoenix who wanted him, and they traded for him. Some of you probably know from his viral draft night speech, Maluach was born in South Sudan but raised in Uganda, where he lived in a refugee settlement with his mother. He didn't pick up a basketball until age 14, and someone saw his height and literally told him to try it out. At the time, he had to walk 40 minutes each way just to play basketball on a rim in Kampala. Eventually, he would join Luol Deng's basketball camp, got into the NBA Academy in Africa, and just skyrocketed from there. By the time he got to Duke, he had already played in the Olympics. And at Duke, Maluach was never supposed to be the finished product. But even in a crowded front court, he earned the starting job early and never gave it back. His role was very simple: defend the rim, run the floor, finish lobs. And he nailed it. Early in the season, he looked raw and a bit tentative, but by March, he was really anchoring their defense and helping Duke make a Final Four run. Scouts saw real growth game to game. He started all 39 games for the Blue Devils, averaging 8.6 points, 6.6 rebounds, and 1.3 blocks per game, while shooting over 60% from the field. Listed at 7'1" with a 7'7" wingspan, Khaman covers an insane amount of ground. He's mobile, he gets off the floor quickly, and his defensive instincts are legit. His biggest weakness is his lower body strength. In college, he would often get bumped off the spot by stronger bigs. So imagine what will happen to him in the NBA. But hey, if he hits the weight room this summer, that can probably change. He can be a great lob target, but offensively, he still needs to do a lot of work. He doesn't have a developed post game, nor a jump shot, nor is he a great creator for himself right now, but the Suns currently aren't a team with big aspirations. So I don't think this will be a major issue. Do I have any expectations for Khaman this year? I'm not sure. And yeah, it might sound like a cop-out, but the Suns are a pretty chaotic team at this point. What kind of role will Khaman play? It kind of depends on the moves the Suns make over the next few months, the rest of the offseason, and going into next year.
And now, with the 11th pick in the 2025 NBA Draft, the Portland Trail Blazers select Cedric Coward from Washington State University.
At pick 11, coming out of Washington State, we have Cedric Coward, a 6'6" 3-and-D player with a 7'2" wingspan. Player comps: Jarris Walker, or maybe even Kawhi Leonard. Here's one of the wildest journeys in this class. Cedric Coward started at Division III Williamette and transferred to Eastern Washington, then showed out at Washington State until a shoulder injury cut his season short after just 6 games. But in those 6, he put up 17.7 points, 7 boards, nearly 4 assists, and shot 40% from 3. By the time the draft rolled around, Memphis saw enough to trade him up and grab him at number 11. They just moved Desmond Bane, so there was a hole on the wing, and Coward's versatility made him their guy. Measured at 6'6" with a 7'2" wingspan, he's a legit 3-and-D prospect who can also pass and play through contact. The shoulder's a question for sure, and how his body will look when he grows into it. Also, there's the lack of high major tape, but his combine performance turned heads. He shot lights out in drills, impressed in interviews, and reportedly had one of the best private workouts of any wing. The Grizzlies are betting on upside and toughness, and Coward, he's betting on himself. He told Duke he was coming this season, then flipped once the draft buzz started to pick up.
Okay, is there a chance still that you might go back to Duke?
It depends. It really depends what I hear. You know, at the end of the day, what I hear is based off of the information, or the decision I'm going to make is based off the information I get. And right now, the information is definitely leaning towards staying in the draft, and I can say that. But at the end of the day, we got to figure out the best decision to make for myself and the best decision to make for my family as I go forward.
And now he's in Memphis with a chance to be the next Jalen Wells type find, a late riser who sticks. It's almost a guarantee that he'll start his career as a bench player, but if the jumper holds and the defense translates, then Memphis might have just grabbed a long-term rotation piece out of nowhere. Pretty good for a guy who was hooping in D3 3 years ago.
With the 12th pick in the 2025 NBA Draft, the Chicago Bulls select Noah Essengue from Saint-Jean-du-Bray, France, and the Club in Germany.
Noah Essengue, one of the youngest players in this draft, a very versatile and high motor forward with legit defensive upside, and a smooth mover with deceptive athleticism. Player comps include players like Al Harrington or Ed O'Bannon. At the first glance, it might look like the Bulls made one of the riskiest bets of the lottery by taking Noah Essengue, an 18-year-old forward from France who just wrapped up his first pro season with Ratio Farm Ulm in Germany. No college resume, no summer league hype, just a skinny kid with long arms, defensive flashes, and a wild motor. Now, if you're watching on draft night wondering who this guy was, don't worry, so are half the analysts. Essengue left the Ulm finals to attend the draft in New York, averaging just 3.7 points in the championship series. But Chicago didn't care. They've been scouting him since a preseason game where he dropped 20 and hit 3 threes against the Trailblazers. So what's the appeal? Well, at nearly 6'9" with legit quickness and coordination, Essengue has all the physical tools teams dream of in a modern four. He's been a two-way impact player in Germany's top league, averaging 11 and 5 in just 24 minutes per game. His stride length, lateral agility, and activity pop off the tape, but the offensive skill set, especially his shot, needs work. Mark Eversley says the Bulls see him in a similar mold as Matas Buzelis, a switchable forward who can guard up or down. And I don't think that overlap is a bug. I think that's Chicago's plan. I think they're trying to build a long, rangy front court with real defensive versatility. Essengue is not NBA ready yet, but for a team stuck in mediocrity, this was a swing worth taking. He might be but he also might be their future as a forward.
With the 13th pick in the 2025 NBA Draft, the Atlanta Hawks select Derik Queen from the University of Maryland.
At pick 13, the Pelicans made one of the more surprising moves of the night, trading up to grab Maryland big man Derik Queen. And to be clear, they paid a real price to do it, sending Atlanta their 2026 unprotected first just to move up 2 spots. That's how much they believed in Queen's long-term upside. He may be the most highly refined big in this class. At 6'10", 245 pounds, Queen already has an NBA-ready frame and a soft scoring touch around the rim. He's not a modern stretch 5 just yet, but he doesn't need to be. His footwork, balance, and instincts in the post are elite for his age. And he's a true playmaker at the 5. Queen sees the floor like a guard. He makes high-level reads and can initiate offense from the elbow or top of the key. He averaged over 16 points and nearly 9 boards, and 2 assists as a freshman at Maryland, earning all Big Ten honors and helping the Terps reach the Sweet 16. That includes a game winner against Colorado State in the tournament.
To the freshman Queen, who's driving, floats it. Oh! Maryland on the right side of a buzzer beater.
And this wasn't a one-off. Queen's been dominant at every level. He was a McDonald's All-American, co-MVP of the All-Star Game, and won National Freshman of the Year back in high school. What makes this pick even weirder is the roster context. The Pelicans already have Zion locked in at the 4, and a logjam of front court guys who don't stretch the floor, like Yves Missi or Kevon Looney, depending on the lineup. Queen, for all his touch and footwork, isn't a reliable shooter yet and is still questionable on defense. Queen showed some mid-range skill. He did hit a few big ones in March. However, he's not spacing NBA defenses in year 1, and that's kind of the issue. He's a guy who thrives in a spaced out modern offense. New Orleans is not really that right now. So unless this is part of a bigger shakeup, it's hard to see the vision here.
With the 14th pick in the 2025 NBA Draft, the San Antonio Spurs select Carter Bryant from the University of Arizona.
Before he was a Spur, Carter Bryant was just a kid from Riverside, with a cast on his leg and a chip on his shoulder. Early in high school, Bryant broke his tibia and growth plate in his left leg, a brutal injury that could have derailed his development entirely. Instead, he came back stronger, already 6'6" by his sophomore year, and steadily climbed the ranks as one of the top wings in the country. He played his first seasons at Fountain Valley under his dad, Deshaun Bryant, before transferring twice, first to Sage Hill, where he dominated the Pacific Coast League, then to SoCal powerhouse Corona Centennial for his senior year. All the while, he and his family continued their community work with the deaf population in SoCal. Bryant learned sign language before he could speak. His grandparents are deaf. His mom's a professional interpreter, and his entire household grew up fluent. And for Carter, that wasn't a burden. It was identity. It was culture, and as he put it, a superpower. He committed early to Arizona, choosing the Wildcats over offers from Louisville, Gonzaga, and more. And even though he came off the bench as a freshman, he still had serious impact. Bryant averaged just 6.5 points and 4.1 rebounds in under 18 minutes per game, but shot 37% from 3 and played big-time minutes in the NCAA tournament. When he was on the floor, Arizona simply looked better. They made the Sweet 16, and Bryant declared for the draft shortly after. He's not loud, he doesn't chase hype, but coaches rave about his character, his quiet work ethic, and his willingness to do the dirty work. And for the Spurs, that matters, because from the looks of it, they're still trying to keep their franchise culture intact, even after Pop retired as a coach. And for now, Carter looks like a great fit, and I look forward to see what he ends up doing.
With the 15th pick in the 2025 NBA Draft, the Oklahoma City Thunder select Thomas Sorber from Georgetown University.
Thomas Sorber, you're 6'10", prototypical power forward center. He can rebound, he can have help side protection, he can make a shot around the rim, and can finish a pick and roll. Also, I think OKC might like the passing vision as well, but let's see. Thomas Sorber didn't come up in one of those fancy prep pipelines. He grew up in Trenton, New Jersey, the youngest of 3 and raised by a single mother after his father, Peter, died of colon cancer when Thomas was just 6. His dad played college at Morgan State and Lincoln and passed down both the size and competitive fire. But it was his mother, Tene, who escaped a war in Liberia and worked 16-hour shifts in the US, and who passed down, well, everything else. Without her, Sorber says he wouldn't be here.
You said you wanted to make sure your mom was good. You're one step closer. What do you say to her tonight?
It's all for you, mama. It's all for you, mama.
Congratulations, you guys.
Monica, thank you so much. Mom came to the U.S. to escape the Liberian Civil War in 1999 when she was 28 and just watched her son go up on stage and celebrate.
By 8th grade, he was already 6'5".
Then I played 8th grade, and I was like a goalie.
How tall was you in 8th grade?
6'5".
That wasn't going to work.
I was good.
By his sophomore year at Archbishop Ryan in Philly, he was 6'10", and dominating one of the toughest high school leagues in the country. He set school records, dropping 41-point triple-doubles, and finished with over 1,000 points. But it wasn't just the production. Sorber reshaped his body after a heavy stretch in his teens, dropping 25 pounds before his senior year, and the mobility showed. He anchored a top defense, scored 21 a game, and graduated as the best big man in Philadelphia. He committed to Georgetown and instantly became one of the most impactful freshmen in the country. Sorber averaged 14.5 points, 8.5 rebounds, 2 blocks, and 2.4 assists in just 24 games before a foot fracture ended the season in February. He wasn't able to work out pre-draft, but his defensive versatility, interior touch, and elite feel for pick and roll actions were more than enough to keep him in the first round. OKC took him with the 15th pick, just days after winning the NBA title. And somehow this wasn't a luxury pick. Sorber might be 19, but he brings something OKC doesn't really have: pure height and power. With a 7'6" wingspan and a strong frame, he projects as a future replacement for Isaiah Hartenstein, and what would be like a frontline bouncer to support Chet Holmgren in the long run. He's already said he models parts of his game after Jokic, Bam, and Embiid. And while he's not there yet, he already sees the reads. He seals early and punishes defenders with real leverage. There's no rush in OKC's system. But if Sorber hits, they might have just added the perfect anchor to keep their core intact without breaking the bank. He fits their culture, their identity, and their financial roadmap. Not a bad way to follow up a championship parade.
With the 16th pick in the 2025 NBA Draft, the Memphis Grizzlies select Yang Hansen from Zibo, China, and the Qingdao Eagles.
The most surprising pick of the first round, and maybe the entire draft, came at number 16, when Portland traded down to grab Hansen Yang, the man most fans know as Chinese Jokic. The 7'1" center from Shandong was projected by most outlets to go somewhere in the 30s, if not later in the second round. Even Young himself said the call came way earlier than he expected. He was sitting in the stands when his name was announced. His draft hat didn't even fit. He wasn't measured for one. That's how unexpected this was. But the Blazers clearly didn't see it as a reach. They'd been tracking Young for 2 years, they sent scouts overseas, and brought him in for a private workout, and, well, walked away convinced. From a skill standpoint, it's not hard to see why. Young just won Rookie of the Year and Defensive Player of the Year in the CBA, the Chinese Basketball Association, averaging 16.6 points, 10.5 rebounds, and 3 assists, and 2.6 blocks per game. He's a legit 7-footer with real court vision, soft touch, and a high basketball IQ. Offensively, there are shades of Şengün. Fluid post work, short roll playmaking, and the willingness to take threes, even if the shot isn't fully there yet. The challenge though is that Şengün went 16th and had to work for years to prove it. Young's going 16th and will be expected to prove it right away. His defense outside of the paint is still a concern, and his mobility on the perimeter is going to be tested heavily in the NBA. And that could be a tough task for a developmental big, especially on a team already stacked with centers like Klingen, Williams, and Duop Reith. But this pick was never just about basketball. Young is the first Chinese player drafted in the first round since Yi Jianlian in 2007. He's repping the world's largest basketball market, and his arrival is already paying off. According to reports, the Blazers have instantly become one of the most popular teams in China. Rich Paul, Young's agent, called him the shock of the draft, and smiled like the guy who sees dollar signs from Macau to Beijing.
He was the shock of the draft, obviously, but no surprise to me. He came in, he worked hard throughout the entire process, and he had a great team with him that came over from China.
So was this a basketball play or a business play? Honestly, it was probably both. If Young becomes even a serviceable NBA player, the upside for Portland in the league is enormous. The scrutiny is going to be just as big.
With the 17th pick in the 2025 NBA Draft, the Minnesota Timberwolves select Joan Beringer from Strasbourg, France, and the Olympia Club in Slovenia.
Johan Banze didn't grow up dreaming of the NBA. He grew up playing soccer in Celestit, a quiet town near the German border of France, until his body made the decision for him. By 14, he was already towering over the field and made the switch to basketball. And 4 years later, he was a first-round pick. At 6'11", 230 pounds, Beringer is one of the most physically gifted bigs in this class. Long, fluid, and twitchy in ways 18-year-olds aren't supposed to be. He's still raw in his skill set, but he gets off the ground quickly, runs the floor like a wing, and swats shots with ease. Think Nerlens Nerlens Noel athleticism with Serge Ibaka flashes when he times it right. He's not switchable yet, but he can move and drop coverage and has real rim deterrence upside. That alone made him a top 20 pick, and the Wolves are betting on upside, not day one impact. Bonze's offensive game is limited. Zero post work, no self-creation, and he's often going too fast for his own reads. But in transition and pick and rolls, he's a constant lob threat. The hope is he becomes a high motor, low usage big who can anchor bench units and maybe more. And he's in the perfect place to figure it out. Rudy Gobert was a late bloomer too. Same country, same position, similar tools. Gobert didn't play much as a rookie either, but he learned, he adapted, and he turned into a defensive player of the year. Minnesota's hoping Beringer follows the same path, with Rudy leading the way. This is an upside play for sure. Hopefully Minnesota's guess was right, and also I wonder if there's a French connection between him and Rudy, and if Rudy pulled any strings to get him drafted.
And with the 18th pick in the 2025 NBA Draft, the Washington Wizards select Walter Clayton Jr. from the University of Florida.
With all the hype, you would think that Cooper Flagg would be everyone's Rookie of the Year shortlist, but you had thought wrong. According to a recent FanDuel poll, that honor actually belongs to Walter Clayton Jr. Was this just an organized effort by Florida fans to prop up their favorite player? Probably. But hey, we're talking about it, so the plan kind of worked. Clayton Jr. was a high school football star first. He committed to Iona for hoops, then transferred home to Florida, then turned into a national champion. His senior year, 44.8% from the field, 38.6% from deep, and 87.5% at the line. His height and wingspan leave a lot to be desired on an NBA level. I mean, he's only 6'2", with a 6'4" wingspan, and what's worse is he's not a true point guard. That's why he slipped to 18. But this dude can shoot the ball and has the clutch gene. One of the best off-movement snipers in the class. A tough pull-up maker, and nearly 40% from deep with a hand in his face. He's fearless, steady, and plays like a 10-year vet. Jalen Brunson, maybe? Utah traded up to get him, leapfrogging Miami at 20, and shipped out Collin Sexton to clear room. That's a bet. With Keontae George still inconsistent and Isaiah Collier still developing, there's a real path for Clayton to step into real minutes right away. The player comps to Donovan Mitchell aren't about style, they're about energy. Nobody expected Spida to explode either, but he did right after Summer League. And it's clear that Utah's hoping Clayton has the same spark.
With the 19th pick in the 2025 NBA Draft, the Brooklyn Nets select Nolan Traoré from Charenton, France, and the Saint-Quentin basketball in France.
Nolan Traoré has been on NBA radars since he was 15, and for good reason. Born outside Paris and trained at the famous INSEP Academy, Nolan rose quickly through the French ranks thanks to his tight handle, court vision, and unique ability to change pace. By the time he joined St. Quentin, he was a projected top 10 pick. However, a shaky start to his pro season, sloppy turnovers, streaky shooting, and questions about his physicality pushed him down draft boards. Even so, the raw talent was impossible to ignore. He's 6'3" with a 6'6" wingspan. Nolan has all the tools you want in a modern point guard. Dynamic in the pick and roll, fearless in transition, and crafty with live dribble passing. He averaged 12 points and 5 assists in the Jeep Elite League, plus earned the Best Young Players honors in the Basketball Champions League. Brooklyn took a swing late in the first round, betting on his long-term upside, especially if the shot improves. His 30% shooting from 3 and limited finishing package are clear red flags, but his IQ, playmaking, and growth arc suggest he's far from a finished product. If the jumper comes around and he adds strength, the Nets may have landed a lead guard of the future.
With the 20th pick in the 2025 NBA Draft, the Miami Heat select Kasparas Jakučionis from Vilnius, Lithuania, and the University of Illinois.
Have you seen that video of Pat Riley celebrating like the crazy old legend he is with the rest of the Heat staff? Miami tried scrubbing it off the internet, but honestly, I have a feeling it's gonna be a meme staple on NBA Twitter and Reddit for the next few years. So, what was Riley so hyped about? Meet Kasparas Jakučionis. Kasparas is a tall, effective playmaker at 6'6" with a 6'8" wingspan. After moving from Lithuania to Spain at 15 to play in Barcelona's youth system, he later transitioned to Illinois for college ball, where he averaged 15 points, 5.7 rebounds, and 4.7 assists as a freshman. His strengths, unbelievable passing and vision, poise, and relentless defensive effort. He fits Miami's culture perfectly. High IQ, tough, and a facilitator who thrives in pick and roll sets. making life easier for big men like Bam Adebayo. There are some question marks, mainly around his three-point shooting consistency and turnovers, but Jakužiūnas is eager to improve, especially on defense. The Heat took a calculated risk on a high upside guard with size and smarts, a classic Pat Riley move, and speaking of Riley in Illinois,
with the 21st pick in the 2025 NBA Draft, the Utah Jazz select Will Riley from Kitchener, Canada, and the University of Illinois.
Will Riley is a 19-year-old wing from Illinois, standing 6'8" and weighing 186 pounds. Growing up in Kitchener, Ontario, Riley was a high-end prospect who experienced a significant growth spurt during the pandemic, going from under 6 feet to over 6'6". He played for UPlay in the Nike EYBL circuit before moving to the US and attending the Phelps School in Philadelphia for his final 2 high school years. Riley emerged on the recruiting scene during the 2024 Basketball Without Borders camp, winning MVP honors, and he would go on to commit to Illinois as a 5-star recruit, joining a talented class and the guy picked just 1 spot before him. In his last season at college, he finished with 12.6 points per game, 4.1 rebounds, and 2.2 assists, shooting 32.6% from 3. And he would end up earning the Big Ten Sixth Man of the Year honors. Known for his size and versatility, Riley offers good length and solid coordination, but lacks explosive athleticism and strength, raising questions about his ability to consistently finish through contact at the NBA level. Offensively, he is a skilled scorer with good feel for movement and shot making, though his jumper remains inconsistent. The Wizards see Riley as a multi-positional wing with playmaking ability and a high basketball IQ, expecting him to develop into a reliable rotational player behind veterans like Middleton.
With the 22nd pick in the 2025 NBA Draft, the Atlanta Hawks select Drake Powell from the University of North Carolina.
Drake Powell wasn't one of the more discussed names in this year's draft. Looking at his college numbers, it's fair to say that he wasn't even one of the more exciting freshmen in 2025. So why is he a part of the Nets? Powell is a lean and athletic wing from North Carolina with clear two-way potential. Standing 6'5" with a 7-foot wingspan, Powell's defensive skills stand out, particularly his ability to guard multiple positions with length, quickness, and a 99th percentile vertical leap. He earned a reputation as North Carolina's best defender this past season, excelling at on-ball defense and disrupting opponents with his length and physicality. His performance against the NBA's next big thing, Flagg, showed off his lockdown abilities. Offensively, Powell showed promise as a catch-and-shoot threat, knocking down 38% of his three-pointers, with exceptional efficiency from the right corner and wing. While his scoring ceiling is still developing, he demonstrated an ability to finish at the rim, with 69% of his shots around the basket going in, and proved effective as a cutter and transition player. However, his overall offensive game remains raw, with inconsistencies in shot creation and finishing through contact. During his freshman year at UNC, Powell averaged 7.4 points and 3.4 rebounds over 37 games, playing significant minutes, but often limited by team-wide offensive struggles. The Nets view Powell as a high-upside defensive specialist who's gonna need time to develop offensively. Seeing how certain NBA scouts believe he still isn't ready to play in the league, it's safe to say that his minutes in 2026 will be limited. But on the flip side, his defensive skill set gives him a chance to carve out a role as a versatile wing defender down the line.
And with the 23rd pick in the 2025 NBA Draft, the New Orleans Pelicans select Asa Newell from the University of Georgia.
Now let's talk about someone who had a strong freshman year and could be a sleeper in this draft class. Asa Newell. From Georgia, Newell is a 6'9" forward with a lean, springy frame, weighing 195 pounds, and a 6'11" wingspan. Known for his motor and willingness to do the dirty work, he blends floor spacing ability with strong rebounding and defensive instincts. He started all 33 games for the Bulldogs and finished the season averaging 15.4 points and 6.9 rebounds per game, all while shooting an efficient 54.3% from the field. Newell earned multiple SEC Freshman of the Week honors, matching Anthony Edwards' school record, and was named to the freshman All-SEC team. His performance included 7 double-doubles and averaging over 3 offensive rebounds per night, highlighting his impact on both ends of the floor. He also showed toughness in big moments, such as scoring 20 points against Gonzaga in the NCAA tournament. Despite his promising tools and production, Newell still has areas to refine, and most notably his three-point shooting, which was under 30% in college, and he needs to refine his overall strength to withstand NBA-level physicality. Given the Hawks' recent moves to bolster their front court, Newell is viewed as a developmental piece who offers size, versatility, and hustle, with the potential to carve out a role as he matures. Whether he sees meaningful minutes early on will depend on how quickly he adjusts to the NBA's pace and physical demands.
And with the 24th pick in the 2025 NBA Draft, the Oklahoma City Thunder select Neek Clifford from Colorado State University.
For much of NBA history, it was common for players to spend 3 or 4 years in college before turning pro. Over the last 2 decades, that model has all but disappeared, replaced by younger prospects entering the draft after 1 or 2 seasons. Neat Clifford, however, bucks that trend, bringing a rare blend of experience and maturity to the table as a 23-year-old wing. Clifford's journey is kinda unique. After growing significantly late in high school, he emerged as a top player in Colorado. He would spend 3 years with the Buffaloes before transferring to Colorado State for 2 more. This extended college tenure allowed him to refine a versatile skill set. He's known as a defensive-minded wing with a high basketball IQ, who can guard multiple positions, rebound well, and disrupt opponents with steals and blocks. Offensively, he's a savvy secondary playmaker, especially effective in pick and rolls, relying on polished footwork instead of explosive athleticism. His shooting can be streaky, but overall he's grown more consistent and confident. Standing 6'5" with a 6'8" wingspan, Clifford offers size and steady contributions. His age means he probably won't have the upside of younger players, but it also means he's more NBA ready and can provide value early as a solid two-way player. All I know is at 23, he's gonna need to get busy quick to stay in the league.
With the 25th pick in the 2025 NBA Draft, the Orlando Magic select Jace Richardson from Michigan State University.
Now, let's talk about what many consider one of the most valuable picks of this entire draft, Jace Richardson at 25. When it comes to pure fit and upside, there's honestly no better guy in the draft. If the name rings a bell, well, it's for good reason. His dad, Jason Richardson, Michigan State legend, NBA star for 14 years, and one of the most underrated dunkers ever to grace the game. Yeah, that Jason Richardson. But don't get it twisted, Jace isn't just riding on his last name. Jace fell to 25 because, well, he's undersized for a combo guard, just a hair over 6 feet tall. But that 6'6" wingspan more than makes up for it, and the kid plays way bigger than his height. At Michigan State, he showed off a really good shooting stroke, drilling threes at over 41%, and finishing through contact with solid balance. Over his last 15 games, he was putting up over 16 points on nearly 50% shooting. For Orlando, Richardson is a perfect fit. They desperately needed shooting and backcourt creativity, and Jace checks both of those boxes, as they just moved off of Cole Anthony. His quick decision-making, lockdown length, and versatile scoring will add instant value. He's got high motor and a killer work ethic that you want from a player who can come in day one, contribute, and keep growing. For a Magic team eyeing an Eastern Conference push, this might be the draft's most valuable pick.
With the 26th pick in the 2025 NBA Draft, the Brooklyn Nets select Ben Saraf from Ganyoshia, Israel, and the Club in Germany.
The Nets spent their second to last pick on Ben Saraf, a 6'6" guard from Germany, and this makes 3 guards in a row for the Nets after Egor Demin and Nolan Traoré, which definitely makes you wonder how they plan to use all these guys together. Saraf is a big guard with solid combo skills and a developing offensive game. He's got great feel for the pick and roll and reads the floor very well. Plus, he's already got pro experience playing in Germany, which makes him a leg up compared to most rookies. That said, his shooting still needs work. Saraf hit about 30% from 3 last season, which isn't great for a guard in today's NBA. He's not super explosive either, so creating space and finishing at the rim might be a challenge. On defense, his size helps, but he needs to get stronger to hang with bigger NBA wings. All in all, Saraf has some interesting skills, and the Nets are betting on his playmaking and smarts. But with so many guards on the roster now, it's fair to question how all this fits together, and if he can help solve their shooting issues. It's a pick with upside, but also some clear risks.
And with the 27th pick in the 2025 NBA Draft, the Brooklyn Nets select Danny Wolf from the University of Michigan.
And you hear that roar?
While Collin Murray-Boyles was dropping an F-bomb and the Godfather celebration grabbed early attention during the draft, the real viral moment belonged to Danny Wolf's brother. His emotional, teary-eyed reaction stole the show and will probably be a lasting highlight on NBA Twitter. Danny Wolf, a 7-foot center from Michigan, went off the board last night for the Nets at pick 27. At 21, Wolf's size and unique skill set stand out. He averaged 13.2 points, 9.7 rebounds, and 3.6 assists last season. For a big man, his passing and soft touch around the rim are pretty rare. He handles the ball well and suggests that he could develop into a valuable playmaker. But seriously, what's going on with Brooklyn? After taking 3 guards in a row who all struggle with shooting consistency, they finish with a big who isn't a reliable shooter himself, hitting just 33.6% from deep last season, and has clear defensive limitations, especially in quickness and rim protection. Wolf is an intriguing point center type, but it's hard to see how he fits smoothly with the rest of their picks or solves any immediate needs. Okay, Danny has one of the coolest highlight mixtapes out of every player in the draft. I mean, you gotta check out some of the stuff he was pulling off in college. And keep in mind, the guy's basically a 7-footer. Yeah.
Wolf crosses, spins. Oh, that's saucy! This guy's got to get busy. And that extra pass underneath to Garcia, rejected by Wolf against Broom. Step back, Jay. Left here. Egor Mazzara. Do not go in there on Wolf.
But will that translate to the NBA level? I'm not sure. A lot of people are not happy about this pick or the Nets' choices as a whole. Individually, guys have some potential, but as a group, it doesn't seem like they'll help Brooklyn become a competitive team anytime soon. But who knows? I'm just a guy on YouTube talking about basketball.
The Boston Celtics select Hugo Gonzalez from Madrid and last played for Real Madrid.
The end of the first round is usually reserved for high ceiling and low expectation prospects. And wouldn't you know it, that's exactly what we have with Hugo Gonzalez at the 28th pick. He's a 19-year-old wing from Real Madrid, already rubbing shoulders with Europe's best, but mostly coming off the bench. At 6'7" and 207 pounds, with a near 7-foot wingspan, he's got the size and length that NBA teams love. Defensively, he's a pest, always moving, always fighting over every loose ball, and disrupting opponents with quick hands and smart anticipation. Offense? Well, that's where the question marks start. His shooting's inconsistent and around 29% from deep, and he's still learning to create his own shot and handle pressure. But there's flashes, good slashing instincts, and a feel for the pick and roll that show real promise. Boston might bring him to the States from overseas right away, which could make sense given their need for versatile defenders, but it might be smarter for Hugo to spend more time in Europe sharpening that jumper and growing his offensive game. Either way, he's a classic late first round bet. Raw, full of potential, and a project who could add real value down the line.
With the 29th pick in the 2025 NBA Draft, the Phoenix Suns select Liam McNeely from the University of Connecticut.
The Charlotte Hornets landed this pick through a trade with the Phoenix Suns, giving them a chance to add a promising wing to their roster. Enter Liam McNeely, a 6'7" forward from UConn who arrived with high expectations as a really good shooter and a smart basketball player. McNeely had a solid freshman season, averaging 14.5 points, 6 rebounds, and 2.3 assists per game. His value lies mostly in his off-ball movement and shooting, especially in catch-and-shoot scenarios. Skills the Hornets desperately need along stars like LaMelo Ball and Brandon Miller. His free throw shooting was excellent at 86.6%. However, McNeely's season wasn't perfect by any stretch. An ankle injury sidelined him for many weeks, and when he returned, his explosiveness was noticeably limited. He spent a lot of time as a lead ball handler to fill a team need, which wasn't really his natural role and hurt his efficiency. Defensively, questions remain about his foot speed against quicker NBA wings, but his anticipation and smart positioning help him avoid major mistakes. Overall, McNeely projects as a high IQ, fundamentally sound wing who can space the floor and attack closeouts. He's not an elite athlete or primary creator, but his shooting and basketball instincts make him a strong fit for Charlotte's long-term offensive system.
With the 30th pick in the 2025 NBA Draft, the LA Clippers select Yannick Konan Niederhauser from Freyschel, Switzerland and Penn State University.
We finish off the first round with a player with one of the hardest names to pronounce. And remember, we had a Chinese player drafted earlier in the round, and Nolan Traoré's name is still impossible for me to say. Still, I'm gonna do my due diligence, just bear with me. With the 30th pick, the Los Angeles Clippers select Yannick Konan Niederhauser. Niederhauser is a 7-foot center from Penn State who just completed a breakout junior season. He averaged 12.9 points, 6.3 rebounds, and led the Big Ten with 2.3 blocks per game. What stands out most is his freakish athleticism for a big man, a 7'3" wingspan, and a 37-inch max vertical leap. He's a lob threat if I've ever heard of one, and he's a shot blocker who lives above the rim. With all that being said, his skills are still very raw. His shooting is basically non-existent, he shot less than 10% from 3, and his defensive fundamentals need a little bit of work. He doesn't box out consistently, misses rotations, and will have to add strength to battle NBA-level bigs. Niederhauser is coming off a minor ankle injury, but is reportedly super coachable and hungry to learn. The Clippers see a long-term project. At the moment, Niederhauser maybe isn't NBA ready, but he could turn into a valuable rim protector and a versatile big with enough time and work. Overall, he looks like a really solid pick. I mean, look how long it took Zubats to develop. I gotta be real with y'all. If these players look as good as they do right now, this draft might be kind of special. Like top 5 draft of the last 20 years type of special. We've had some great ones too. 2018, 2021, and even 2014 aged well. But this class, it's deep. And maybe I'm biased because this is the first time I've actually like followed these guys before they hit the league, like watched the film, dug into the backstories, all of that. But I still came away very impressed. There's height, there's skill, there's way more polish than usual, and I didn't feel like we had as many throwaway picks. But let me know, am I overhyping this, or are you guys seeing the same thing? But don't jump to conclusions just yet, because we still have the whole rest of the draft to go over. Some of the names coming up, you might be hearing them again sooner than you think.
With the 31st pick in the 2025 NBA Draft, the Minnesota Timberwolves select Rasheer Fleming from St. Joseph's University.
The Suns opened the second round with an excellent choice. With the pick they got via trade with Minnesota, they've selected Rasheer Fleming from St. Joseph's. Fleming brings a mix of defense, size, and athleticism. Exactly what the Suns need, but can't easily buy right now given their salary constraints. At 6'8" with a ridiculous 7-foot wingspan, and built to take on even the toughest linebacker, he's for sure able to play physical basketball. Fleming is an athletic stretch forward with serious leaping ability. He threw down over 44 dunks this season, and he moves surprisingly well for his size, sliding his feet and showing solid hands on both ends. Offensively, he's a finisher first and a shooter second. His three-point shot jumped to nearly 40% last season, giving him the potential to stretch the floor. Defensively, his length and athleticism let him chip in with steals, blocks, and solid rim protection, though his instincts and awareness still need work. Fleming's a late bloomer with plenty of room to grow. In Phoenix's front court mix, he fits as a versatile energy guy who can help with rebounding, defense, and spacing. Getting this kind of talent late in the draft, that's a win for the Suns.
With the 32nd pick in the 2025 NBA Draft, the Boston Celtics select Noah Penda from Bondy, France, and Francis Lemon.
Another team that got their pick via trade. But is it another home run? Well, from the first glance, no, it doesn't seem to be the case. While Noah Penda is an intriguing international prospect, the pick doesn't make a lot of sense for Orlando considering the talent left on the board. Noah Penda is a 6'7", 220-pound forward from Le Mans, France. He's a crafty physical wing with great size and vision, known for playing hard on both ends. He's got a long 7-foot wingspan and a strong frame, which helps him defend multiple positions. Offensively, he shows promise as a passer and shooter, though his jump shot is still streaky, making him a work in progress. At 20 years old, Penda brings a mature feel for the game and solid defensive instincts. But questions remain about how much his offensive game will translate to the NBA. The Magic could be hoping his size and versatility help bolster their defensive identity, but is it me or does the pick feel more like a project than an immediate contributor? For a team needing more of a scoring punch, it's a gamble on potential rather than certainty.
With the 33rd pick in the 2025 NBA Draft, the Charlotte Hornets select Sion James from Duke University.
For the Hornets, defense wasn't a strong point in 2025. The team had the defensive rating of 116.6, which ranked them near the bottom of the league. If the Hornets want to do better in 2026, they'll definitely need some help on the defensive end. And that's just what Sion James brings to the table. Standing 6'4.5" with a powerful frame and a 6'6.5" wingspan, James brings physicality and versatility on defense. He's known for his disruptive ability at the point of attack. He's able to guard multiple positions effectively, and his strength and timing allow him to compensate for not being an elite athlete. Offensively, James showed steady growth throughout his college career. In his senior year at Duke, he averaged 8.6 points, 4.2 rebounds, and 2.9 assists per game in limited minutes. He's the kind of glue guy who keeps the ball moving and plays within a system. His high basketball IQ and vocal leadership make him a great fit for a Hornets team looking to build a stronger defensive identity and add reliable two-way guards.
With the 34th pick in the 2025 NBA Draft, the Charlotte Hornets select Ryan Kalkbrenner from Creighton University.
Another pick for the Hornets, and I gotta say, looks like another solid choice. Charlotte, among other things, also needs to deepen their center rotation and add some defensive presence down low. Ryan Kalkbrenner looks like just what they need. Standing at 7'1" with a massive 7'6" wingspan, Kalkbrenner is an elite shot blocker and rim protector, arguably the best in his draft class. Over his college career at Creighton, he consistently shut down paint scoring, helping anchor one of the top defenses in the Big East for 5 straight years. He's not the most athletic or physically dominant big, and his offense is limited mostly to high percentage shots around the basket. Still, his size, instincts, and defensive IQ make him more than worth the pick, especially in the second round. Kalkbrenner can step in right away as a defensive anchor off the bench, providing the Hornets with much needed rim protection and rebounding. For a team looking to improve defensively and build depth, this is a smart, low-risk, high-reward selection.
With the 35th pick in the 2025 NBA Draft, the Philadelphia 76ers select Janai Broome from Auburn University.
After their first rounder, the Sixers were definitely looking to add some depth to their front court rotation. Johni Broome might turn out to be a solid bench scorer for them in the following year, if he can manage to get double-digit minutes in his rookie season. Standing at 6'9" and 249 pounds, Broome is a physical, high-motor player who excels at crashing the boards and scoring inside. He's a crafty finisher with a knack for making the little plays that don't always show up in the stat sheet. Broome's offensive game is mostly below the rim, often using a left-handed hook shot over his shoulder, and while he's not the most explosive athlete, his strength and savvy helps to create space in the paint. Defensively, he's solid, but could struggle with quicker players on the perimeter. His shooting is inconsistent, so he won't be relied on to stretch the floor. Still, Broome's toughness and rebounding should earn him minutes off the bench early. He's a player who could develop into a reliable backup big for a Sixers team aiming to improve its interior presence.
With the 36th pick in the 2025 NBA Draft, the Brooklyn Nets select Adou Thiero from the University of Arkansas.
After the Luka trade, the Lakers are in an obvious win-now mode. They are not looking for prospects that are going to take a couple of years to develop. LeBron doesn't have a lot left in the tank, and if the Lakers want to win another championship and be in contention, they need players who can contribute, like, now. That's why I feel like Adou Thiero is a solid choice at 36. Thiero is one of the best athletes in the draft class. At 6'6" with a 7-foot wingspan, he combines power and explosiveness in a way that jumps off the tape. His defensive potential is huge. He can guard multiple positions, chase shooters, and disrupt plays with his motor. Offensively, he's still raw, his shooting is inconsistent, and he's more of a catch-and-shoot threat than a creator right now. But with the Lakers' veteran core and development staff, there's a good chance he can grow into a valuable two-way role player who thrives in transition and lockdown defense.
The Detroit Pistons selected Chaz Lanier.
This pick I think is going to be a great fit for the Pistons. Even though Cade has been one of the better playmakers last year, the fact that the Pistons need secondary shot creating is undeniable. And Chaz Lanier might just have what Detroit's been missing. And I think Chaz Lanier might be able to fit that missing piece for Detroit. Lanier is one of the best shooters in this draft class easily, connecting on 44.3% from 3 and boasting an 87.2% from free throw. At 6'4" with a nearly 7-foot wingspan, he's a physical guard who can absorb contact and finish through traffic. His smooth, quick release makes him a threat off the catch and off the dribble alike. While not an elite athlete, Lanier plays smart basketball, moves well without the ball, and shows toughness on both ends. He's a natural fit as a reliable role player who can come in and provide instant spacing and scoring punch off the bench. For a Pistons team needing floor spacing and maybe a little bit of playmaking and consistent shooting, Lanier's game fills an important hole. The Pacers didn't have a first-round pick, but to be honest, with this player that they got at 38, they might have not even needed one.
With the 38th pick in the 2025 NBA Draft, the San Antonio Spurs select Cam Jones from Marquette University.
Cam Jones is a confident scorer and a reliable combo guard who can run the offense in stretches. Jones brings 4 years of steady growth at Marquette, the same school Jimmy Butler went to, and Dwayne Wade, and is finishing as a 23-year-old senior who averaged 19.2 points, 4.5 rebounds, and 5.9 assists last season. He's a confident scorer with a 6'3" frame and a 6'6" wingspan, moving with smooth footwork and balance. Jones' ability to handle the ball and create shots adds much-needed depth to Indiana's backcourt, especially with Tyrese Haliburton likely missing most of the season. At this stage, Jones looks like a plug-and-play rotation guard who can be a steal at this point in the draft.
With the 39th pick in the 2025 NBA Draft, the Toronto Raptors select Elijah Martin from the University of Florida.
I do have a lot of good things to say about Elijah Martin. The Florida shooting guard might be undersized at 6'2", however, he plays much bigger than his size, and he's been a force on the court since his high school days. In high school, Martin was a 2-sport star, an all-state quarterback in Mississippi, and a 3-star recruit with multiple D1 offers. He would end up going with the basketball route, and at Florida Atlantic, he slowly improved, averaging around 12 points, 5 rebounds, and 1 assist per game. He was a key contributor to the Owls' Final Four run, showcasing his physicality and defensive intensity. He would end up transferring to Florida State for his senior year, and there he averaged 14.4 points and 4.5 rebounds, helping the Gators win the national title. His elite perimeter defense and relentless motor make him a valuable asset off the bench. However, his streaky 36% career three-point shooting average and inconsistent offensive game project him as more of a long-term developmental piece. For the Raptors, who already have depth at defensive guards, this pick feels a bit, well, redundant, and I'm kind of afraid that it can hinder his development at the highest level.
With the 40th pick in the 2025 NBA Draft, the Washington Wizards select Micah Peavy from Georgetown University.
The Pelicans, who were desperate to land some versatile wings in this draft, traded for this pick to land Micah Peavy of Georgetown. At 6'7", 215 pounds, Peavy's size and athleticism fit well in today's NBA as a defensive-minded wing who can guard multiple positions. Last season, Peavy started all 32 games for the Hoyas and averaged 17.2 points, 5.8 rebounds, and 3.6 assists, and a league-leading 2.3 steals per game in over 37 minutes. His defensive motor and anticipation skills make him one of the best perimeter defenders in the Big East. His offensive game took a big step forward too, hitting 40% of his threes on 4.1 attempts per game, and shooting nearly 48% overall. He's a reliable secondary playmaker with 3.6 assists per game, and can create scoring opportunities off the ball. The blend of effort, size, and improved shooting make him a solid fit for the Pelicans, addressing a clear need for wing defense.
With the 41st pick in the 2025 NBA Draft, the Golden State Warriors select Kobe Bryant from the University of Kentucky.
I keep repeating myself, but I'm really not sure what the Suns are looking to do in 2026. Are they tanking? Are they going into a soft rebuild? Are they trying to build something? I don't know, because their moves are all over the place. So why would they pick a specialist with the 41st pick? Well, why not, I guess. Anything goes at this point. Bryant is an elite shooter, no doubt about that. At 6'5" and 200 pounds, he's got the size to play the wing and the smooth mechanics to make shots at a historically impressive clip. Over 5 years in college, he hit 43.4% of his 733-point attempts, including 43.5% last season at Kentucky. The catch and shoot game is lethal, and he can knock down shots off screens and off the dribble with deadly efficiency. Defensively, Bryant leaves, a lot to be desired. It doesn't look like he's quick enough or athletic enough to keep up with NBA-level guards, but his shooting alone makes him a valuable floor spacer for a Suns team that needs just that. Maybe.
With the 42nd pick in the 2025 NBA Draft, the Sacramento Kings select Maxime Reynaud from Paris, France, and Stanford University.
From the stuff I've seen about this kid so far, this might be a great pick for the Kings in the second round. Maxime Reynaud brings a rare combination of size and fluidity for a 7-footer. He averaged 20.2 points, 10.6 rebounds, 1.7 assists, and 1.4 blocks per game at Stanford this season. Reynaud is a more than solid shot blocker who can stretch the floor with his 3-point shooting around 34.5%. His passing skills for a big man stand out as well, fitting well into Sacramento's offense. This pick gives the Kings a versatile front court player who can contribute both inside and outside. With the mix of size, shooting, and playmaking, Reynaud looks like a steal in the second round with a promising depth addition.
With the 43rd pick in the 2025 NBA Draft, the Washington Wizards select Jamir Watkins from Florida State University.
Jamir Watkins has talent for sure, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But on the other hand, I'm not quite sure what Washington's going to do with his talents. After 3 seasons at VCU, including a miss year due to an ACL tear, Watkins transferred to Florida State, where he blossomed into a two-way force, averaging 17 points and nearly 6 rebounds and 2 assists per game. He earned all ACC second-team honors and impressed the NBA recruiters with his elite on-ball defense and playmaking. His 3-point shooting still needs work, but he's physical, aggressive, and can attack the rim. The Wizards grabbed him at 43, hoping his defense and improving offense can help in their rebuilding backcourt. Now, the real question is how Washington plans to use him, and will they give him a proper chance to show off his skills?
With the 44th pick in the 2025 NBA Draft, the Oklahoma City Thunder select Brooks Barnhizer from Northwestern University.
I think by now it's safe to say that OKC's scouting team is certainly one of the best in the league. Since the Thunder have a lot of talented players on their roster, the front office can afford to gamble on a prospect like Brooks Barnhizer. Barnhizer, a 4-year player at Northwestern, averaged 17.1 points, 8.8 rebounds, 4.2 assists, 2.3 steals, and 1.1 blocks per game in his senior season before a foot injury ended his campaign early. Though his 3-point shot was only 31%, but his versatility and effort clearly stand out. Barnhizer lacks elite athleticism and lateral quickness, which may limit his defensive ceiling. At 23, he has less of a developmental runway, but lands in a strong situation with the Thunder, who are known for developing versatile role players. He's gonna have to compete for minutes. Well, he may even spend a good amount of time in the G League, but his well-rounded game and motor make him worth the pick.
With the 45th pick in the 2025 NBA Draft, the Chicago Bulls select Rocco Zekarski from Sunshine Coast, Australia, the NBA Global Academy in Australia, and Brisbane Bullets of the NBL.
Are the Wolves about to trade Rudy Gobert? This is another center they picked, and, well, actually the Wolves traded for this pick, so they're hedging their bets on a large international center with a lot of potential. Rocco Zikarsky stands at 7'3" with a massive wingspan and impressive mobility for his size. At only 18 years old, he's incredibly raw, but shows flashes of developing offensive touch and rim running ability. The rebounding effort and defensive instincts are promising, though he's still learning positioning and footwork and drop coverage. Zikarsky's youth means he's a long-term project who likely won't make an immediate impact, but the Wolves see value in rare size and potential. This pick fits the Wolves' development approach, hoping to mold Zikarsky into a versatile, rim-protecting big down the line.
While we were in the break, another pick selected, Amari Williams out of Kentucky.
A lot of teams in the league need centers. After trading Tingis Pingus and losing Luke Cornett, the Celtics were one of those teams. And seeing how the Celtics were already in too deep with the salary cap, they naturally turned to the draft to try and find yet another center. While their selection won't solve all their problems, he brings something to the table. Williams, a 7-foot center with a 7'6" wingspan, fits the mold of a modern defensive big. After excelling defensively at Drexel, he transferred to Kentucky and ranked among the nation's top 50 rebounders. He offers solid passing ability from the high post and versatile defense as said before, and he's capable of switching on to smaller players. While his offensive scoring remains a work in progress, his rebounding and rim protecting skills prove immediate value for a Celtics team needing interior depth.
With the 47th pick in the 2025 NBA Draft, the Milwaukee Bucks select Bogoljub Markovic from Uzece, Serbia, and Serbia's Mega Basket.
I think this is a great second-round pick for the Bucks. Bogoljub Markovic might not be NBA ready in 2025, but he's a perfect pick and stash player with tremendous upside. The 19-year-old forward from Megabasket, the Serbian club known for producing NBA talents like Nikola Jokic, Boban Marjanovic, and Ivica Zubac, Markovic stands at 6'11" with a smooth shooting touch, knocking down around 39% of three-pointers last season, while showing impressive playmaking skills for a big. His rebounding instincts and defensive awareness are already advanced, but he needs to add strength and polish his ball handling to thrive at the next level. With the length and mobility, Markovic projects as a modern stretch forward with the ability to create mismatches offensively. For a team like Milwaukee looking to develop high upside, cost-controlled talent, he's a savvy long-term investment.
With the 48th pick in the 2025 NBA Draft, the Memphis Grizzlies select Javon Small from West Virginia University.
The Grizzlies may have a talented backcourt, but you can never have too many weapons in your arsenal. Javon Small is a good pickup with a story worth telling. Raised by a single mother who worked multiple jobs to support him and his siblings, Small's path wasn't easy. His mom worked hard to get him better opportunities, moving the family when needed, and when times were getting tough, donating blood to make sure the money was still coming in. Small played 1 year at West Virginia after stops at East Carolina and Oklahoma State, putting up 18.6 points, 5.6 assists, and 4.1 rebounds, despite missing teammates due to injury and only being 6'1". He's tough, shifty, and an amazing free throw shooter at 88%. Memphis gets a reliable scorer and playmaker off the bench who can manage the pace when needed. Oh, he also is pretty twitchy, so I don't think he's gonna have any problem looking like a Ja Morant light when he needs to.
And while we were away, the Cleveland Cavaliers, they made their selection. They really wanted to get Tyrese Proctor. I am told, Jonathan, that he will have a spot on this roster next year.
At 49, we might have arrived at the biggest steal of the second round, and I'm pretty sure I already said this, but whatever. In the long run, this might turn out to be a great pick for the Cavs. The 6'4" Duke guard brings rare size and skill at the point guard position, averaging 12.4 points, 3 rebounds, and 2.3 assists per game, all while shooting 40.5% from 3. Known for his elite passing, especially in pick and roll sets, Proctor showed a strong 3.0 to 1.3 assist to turnover ratio. In layman's term, 3 assists for every 1 turnover, reflecting smart decision making. Though undersized at 183 pounds, he's an efficient scorer with a smooth, repeatable shooting stroke and poise in running an offense. Defense and finishing at the rim are areas Proctor still needs to develop, but his combination of size, shooting, and playmaking makes him a perfect fit to provide instant depth behind starters.
With the 50th pick in the 2025 NBA Draft, the New York Knicks select Kobe Sanders from the University of Nevada.
I'm really liking this draft, man. Kobe Sanders is genuinely a solid pick at 50. He brings a big guard frame with scoring instincts and the ability to create his own shot. Sanders offers some versatility as a second playmaker, which the Clippers could use off the bench. And now with CP3 back, he may be able to get mentored by one of the best point guards in history. However, If the Clippers want to compete in the West, Sanders might not see any minutes as a rookie. His defensive inconsistency and lack of elite athleticism could limit his impact right away. This pick feels more like a developmental gamble. He's a player with offensive tools, but a question mark on how quickly he can adapt to the NBA's pace and physicality.
With the 51st pick in the 2025 NBA Draft, the LA Clippers select Mohamed Diawara from Paris, France, and Francis Cholet Basket.
Mohamed Diawara isn't a name most Knicks fans knew on draft night, but with the 51st pick, New York swung on a raw but toolsy forward out of France. At 6'9" with mobility and defensive flashes, Diawara fits the mold of a modern wing, just not one who's NBA ready yet. He averaged 5.8 points, 3.1 rebounds, and 1.4 assists on 38.3% shooting for Cholet in France's top league, and hit 31% from deep, which isn't too great. The offensive game is very much a work in progress, especially at the free throw line, where he shot just 51%, but the Knicks clearly liked the flashes. And he was putting in that work, putting in 11 team workouts in 20 days before the draft, and impressed enough to stick. Given New York's depth at the 3 and 4, this is likely a draft and stash situation. But if the shot ever clicks, and he adds muscle and an identity, Diawara has the tools to carve out a role in a few years.
While we were in the break, the Golden State Warriors selected Alex Tui.
For the Warriors, Alex Tui is the perfect late second round pick. He fits the classic Warriors archetype, really unselfish, high basketball IQ, and he can contribute off ball right away. Tui does all the little things, cuts hard, makes quick reads, and defends without needing the ball. He averaged 10.6 points, 4 rebounds, and 1.4 steals on 44.9% shooting in the NBL last season. And while his 31% from 3 is not lights out, there's enough there to believe in the jump shot long term. He's not super duper explosive, and like I said, the jumper still needs work, but in Golden State's system, that may not matter.
With the 53rd pick in the 2025 NBA Draft, the Utah Jazz select John Tonje from the University of Wisconsin.
John Tonje might be 24, but he's one of the most NBA-ready second-rounders in this class. He broke out in his final year at Wisconsin, averaging 19.6 points per game while shooting nearly 39% from deep and over 90% from the free throw line. At 6'5" with a 6'9" wingspan and a strong frame, he has the physical tools to hold his own defensively. Utah probably won't expect star upside, but Tonje's shooting and toughness give him a real shot to stick in rotation.
Indiana Pacers. The Indiana Pacers selected Talon Peter.
Surprisingly, the Pacers decided to use their final pick on a Division II transfer with no combine invite and no draft buzz. I don't think I've actually seen him on a single mock draft, so I had to go research him after his name was called. So who is Talon Peter? He's a D2 to D1 sharpshooter who quietly became one of the most efficient scorers in college basketball last season. After 3 seasons at Arkansas Tech and a year at Tennessee Tech, Peter made a name for himself at Liberty, averaging 13.7 points on 57.8% shooting overall and 45.3% from deep. He also led Conference USA in 2-point percentage and hit 90% of his free throws in conference play. Strong frame, quick release, and one of the best shooting profiles in the entire draft. This is one of the players I'm interested in following this year. For a 54th pick, I feel like he actually might make a name for himself in the league.
Los Angeles Lakers, but actually Lachlan Ulbrich has been traded here. This pick is on its way to the Chicago Bulls.
When you have the 55th pick in the draft, you should definitely be encouraged to take risks. And that's just what the Bulls did, selecting the international raw big man, Lachlan Ulbrich. The 6'9" Aussie brings toughness, mobility, and a developing all-around game. He's still very raw, but his flashes as a passer, screener, and interior scorer suggest long-term potential. The Bulls won't rush this one. Ulbrich is a project, but a worthwhile one. Between his work ethic and steady rise through the NBL ranks, Ulbrich fits the mold of a late-blooming big guy who might just stick if the development clicks.
With the 56th pick in the 2025 NBA Draft, the Memphis Grizzlies select Will Richard from the University of Florida.
Will Richard isn't the player with the highest ceiling out there, but for what the Warriors need, he's an okay pick. He's a low-maintenance guard with a long wingspan, a consistent shooting stroke, and just enough toughness to hang defensively. Richard's not a creator, and his size limits his versatility, but in Golden State's system, he won't need to do much more than hit open shots, chase wings, and stay disciplined. As a 4-year contributor for a title team, he's a plug-and-play depth piece with a pro-ready mindset.
The 57th pick in the 2025 NBA Draft, the Orlando Magic select Max Shulga from Kyiv, Ukraine, and Virginia Commonwealth University.
Hold up, don't start counting out the 57th pick in the NBA draft. I mean, just ask Manu. And to be honest, while I won't be crazy to claim that the Celtics landed a future Hall of Famer here, they did make a pretty good choice selecting Max Shulga. The Ukrainian averaged 15 points, 6 boards, and 4 assists at VCU. He's a tough, experienced guard who shot over 40% from 3 in college, knows how to move the ball, and rebounds like he's 6'8". Boston needs depth and IQ, and Shulga brings both.
With the 58th pick in the 2025 NBA Draft, the Cleveland Cavaliers select Saliou Niang from Dakar, Senegal, in Italy's Trento Club.
With the second to last pick, the Cavs select Saliou Niang, an international prospect that possesses some interesting physical tools and seemingly has some potential. At 6'8" with a nearly 7-foot wingspan and a non-stop motor, Niang made his name in Italy as a physical, versatile stopper who rebounds, cuts, and plays with real intensity. He's raw on offense, a low-volume shooter, limited touch, but consistently generates paint touches and thrives in motion. He'll be stashed away in Europe with Virtus Bologna, but don't be shocked if he crashes the rotation within a couple years.
With the 59th pick in the 2025 NBA Draft, the Houston Rockets select Jahmai Meshack from the University of Tennessee.
As the last pick in this year's draft, the Grizzlies picked Jahmai Meshack from the University of Tennessee. Meshack was the Field of 68 National Defensive Player of the Year and broke Tennessee's NCAA tournament record with 18 total steals. He averaged 6 points, 4.2 rebounds, and 1.7 steals per game as a senior, while shooting 35% from deep. The big thing for him is he needs to develop an NBA-level jumper, and if so, then he should be dandy, seeing he's already a ball stopper on the defensive end. Memphis adds a gritty defender and a high-energy competitor whose motor and toughness could translate quickly into meaningful minutes. As far as the culture fit goes, Jahmai fits perfectly. I mean, he already played in Tennessee and has that grit and grind mindset, and now he plays for Memphis, literally the team known for the grit and grind mindset. Wow, that's all 59 picks from the draft. Future stars, risky swings, and a few we'll be debating for years. I don't know, guys, this one still feels kind of different. They're really deep, it's talented, and maybe this might be one of the best draft classes of the decade. And since you stuck with me as we went through all these players in this over an hour-long video, I actually got a small challenge for you. Build a starting 5 from this draft to face the defending champions OKC. Think matchups: Shea, Lou Dort, Jalen Williams, Chet, Hartenstein. Picking mine was actually way harder than I thought. I tried putting Edgecombe on for defense, but I didn't feel like the scoring upside was there. I put Flagg at power forward to guard Chet, and then I actually moved him to small forward to guard Jalen Williams, and almost swapped Sorber for more offense, but kept him for toughness. The Chet problem, I think that can be solved with Noah Essengue. Tall, mobile, and long enough to contest him. So here's my final 5. Dylan Harper at the point guard, Ace Bailey at shooting guard, Cooper Flagg at small forward, Noah Essengue at power forward, and Thomas Sorber at center. I like this group for its size, length, and balance. Harper runs the show, Bailey's a legit bucket, Flagg does everything, Essengue makes Chet work, and Sorber locks down the paint. Built to match OKC position for position, and maybe flip a few matchups. Now it's your turn. Drop your starting 5 in the comments and tell me why it beats OKC. And if I'm saying this could be one of the best drafts of the decade, then you gotta see how it stacks up against other classes, like the 2023 draft, Wemby's year. And you can actually do that by watching this video that's showing on the screen right here, and you can decide for yourself. Is the 2025 draft better or the 2023 draft?